Let's go to the brain. So we all know that the brain, it belongs to the central nervous system. The brain is in the skull. So in the skull there is a liquid. So that is called the cerebrospinal fluid, and actually the brain is basically just floating in there. So this is, the brain sits in a fluid-filled cerebral fluid. Like for example, when you're in a swimming pool, you're kind of like floating in there. So that's how the brain is. And it is covered by a bony box, because if it's just going to be water, there is nothing to protect it. The skull protects the brain. Brain is divided into forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain has three parts: cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus. And then we have the midbrain, and then we have the hindbrain. Hind means behind. So hindbrain, which has the pons, cerebellum and the medulla. You can see over here in the picture that there is the forebrain, which is the cerebrum, thalamus and the hypothalamus. Behind the thalamus is the hypothalamus. And then we have the midbrain, that's in the middle. And then we have the hindbrain, so that is, it starts from the pons and then the medulla oblongata and then the cerebellum. Then it continues over here as the spinal cord. Right? So brain is divided into forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Let's talk about the functions of the forebrain. The forebrain has, of all the brains, the forebrain, the midbrain and the hindbrain. So the forebrain is basically movement of voluntary muscles. The difference between the forebrain and the hindbrain is that the forebrain is movement of the voluntary muscles and the hindbrain is the involuntary actions. These are the functions. The forebrain has the voluntary actions and then the hindbrain has the involuntary actions. The other functions of the forebrains include reasoning, logic, memory, emotions, and hearing, smell and sight. And it also has the satiety center, that is the feeling of fullness. Once you've had your meal, you have a full feeling. So that is done by the forebrain. The hypothalamus in particular, that belongs to the forebrain. We saw over here in the picture. The forebrain has the hypothalamus, that is the satiety center, right? Okay, so now we have the midbrain. The midbrain actions include a lot. To state a few, I have to say pupillary accommodation, and then we have the sleep-wake cycle. Hindbrain, as I said, it has the involuntary actions like the breathing, heartbeat, food digestion, and then the blood pressure, salivation, vomiting. All that is basically over here. These things are controlled by the medulla oblongata. The blood pressure, salivation and the vomit center, all that is controlled by the hindbrain. So, I think we're all clear about the functions of the brain. We'll go to the plant coordination. In plant coordination, why does this come under central nervous system? Because we know that plants are alive, and that is because they move, they grow. How do they grow? Over here we have the environmental triggers. Growth occurs like as I said, they have a lot of nourishments that is needed for a plant to grow, but over here we are talking about their actions. We spoke about phototropism, that is, the growth is dependent on the light. So it grows towards the sun. Like for example, the sunflower, it grows towards the sun. In fact, any plant, it grows towards the sun. You keep a plant near maybe in a corner of a house, it will grow towards the window. You can see that. Yeah, so that is phototropism. And then geotropism is, again, we have the roots growing towards the ground. So that's where they have to get the water and mineral sources. That's why they do that. This is the growth, the environmental triggers. The other triggers that growth, the other triggers which help with the growth are the hormones in the plant. The hormones in the plant are auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin. Auxin helps in shoot of the plant grow towards light. Auxin is in the shoot of the plant. So what is the hormone that makes the plant grow towards the sun? That is auxin. It is in the shoot of the plant, on the tip of the plant. And cytokinin helps in the cell division. That is like a flower to become a fruit. So, cytokinin helps with that cell division. Okay. And then we have gibberellin that helps with the growth of the stem. Stem elongation. In a plant there is a stem elongation that is done by the hormone gibberellin. So, these all include in the growth. There is one thing that inhibits the growth. Do you know when that happens? That happens during the autumn, when all the trees fall, when all the leaves fall off the trees. That is called wilting of the leaves. That is done by an hormone called the abscisic acid. That is another hormone that is present in the plant. Now, the shape of the plant depends on the amount of water in them. So you can see that certain leaves are very thin and certain leaves are very thick. The thick ones, if you break it open, you can see some liquid in it. So that is the amount of water they can absorb. So that is the shape of the plant. That is done by depending on the amount of water in them, they either by swelling or by shrinking. Okay. So if in case, like for example, you don't water a plant for a while, you can see that the leaves become like really crumpled up. That is because the water in them has gone down. So you pour little water in an hour or so, they will become like really good, like they'll sprout out. So that is because of the amount of water in the plant. Okay. So now let's speak about the hormones in animals, humans. We have a hormone called adrenaline. Like for example, you are sleeping at night and suddenly you hear a loud noise, like everything is silent and then suddenly you hear a loud noise. And you have to get up and go and check what's happening over there. So all the time you have this rush of energy, you kind of sweat and you kind of feel the pressure. So that is the hormone adrenaline. Yeah, so that is secreted by the adrenaline gland. Even when you, for example, watch a horror movie, you get the fright. That is because of the adrenaline rush. Okay, so what does the adrenaline do? What is the action of the adrenaline? It increases the heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen supply, and then blood to the digestive system and skin is reduced at that time in order to increase the supply to the skeletal system. That's because, for example, you need to run. So the rush gives you, adrenaline rush gives you oxygen supply, increases the heart rate and then the blood pressure in order for your skeletal system to work better. And at that time, the digestive system and the skin, their actions are reduced, right? If in case like there is a deficiency of adrenaline, we don't need to go deep inside this. You just need to know that Addison's disease, there is a disease called Addison's disease which is caused due to the deficiency of adrenaline. So now the next hormone is thyroxine, that is secreted by the thyroid gland, and its action is carbohydrate, fat, protein metabolism to maintain the balance of the body, the growth balance. So thyroxine helps with the carbohydrate, fat, protein metabolism. Thyroxine deficiency leads to goiter, swelling in the front of the neck. Iodine deficiency basically. We have these iodine-rich salts, iodized salt. So we take that, it reduces the risk of these deficiencies. And then the next hormone is the growth hormone that is secreted by the pituitary gland, and its action is regulating growth and development of the body. As it says, the name states, growth hormone. So naturally, it regulates growth and development of the body. So when you have a deficiency of that, you have certain things like the dwarfism, right? And then we have the sex hormones. The sex hormones are the testosterone and the estrogen, and they are responsible for the secondary sexual features and reproductive and sexual maturity, and they also help with the reproduction. So these I think we will learn more about it in the reproductive medicine chapter. For now, all you need to know is that the sex hormones are the testosterone and the estrogen. And then we have the insulin that is secreted by the pancreas, and that is again a hormone, and the action is that it regulates blood sugar levels in the body. Blood sugar levels are regulated by the insulin. I think all of us know that the lack of insulin, deficiency of insulin leads to diabetes mellitus. Thank you.